Hi, I'm Nicole Green with Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority. I'm the Division Director for Developmental Disabilities Community Services, and I'm here in conjunction with Families Helping Families of Greater New Orleans to present a training on how to apply for developmental disability services through Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority. So before we get into how to apply for developmental disability services, I want to discuss a little bit about the services that we provide. So we provide individual and family support services, also known as IFS. This program is individual and family centered, and it's designed to provide linkage to community resources, also other JPHSA resources, and funding through developmental disability community services. Now, those funding can cover services like personal companion and respite services, which is really designed to provide skills building, supervision, and a break to family members so that they can concentrate on other things that's important to them while their loved one is being supervised and safely cared for in the community or at home. We also provide funding through our psychologists for psychological services or positive behavior supports. And this is geared towards helping to minimize challenging behaviors that might cause difficulty at home, school, work, or elsewhere in the community. And the focus is to develop more, mitigate or decrease the challenging behaviors and increase more positive behaviors. We also have a stipend. It's called Flexible Family Fund. Qualified families must apply. And as of the recording, there is a waiting list for Flexible Family Fund, but it's a stipend of $258 a month for families that qualify. Our support coordinators or care coordination provides coordinated care services, which can link you to JPHSA services, including our federally qualified health center, Jeff Care, or other services in the community that's going to meet the family's need. We can fund supported living services. And as I mentioned before, we have a federally qualified health center called Jeff Care. And so any referrals that the family might need to Jeff Care will cover referrals for immunizations or annual well visits or any other type of primary care or behavioral health care that your family member might need. Our support coordinators provide transitional services for students that will be exiting high school in the next few years. And that can look like funding for vocational services or waiver services. And there are many, many more services that we can provide, but these are just a list of the few. So how to apply for developmental disability services? In order to go into applying, we first need to discuss early step services. Now, early step services are designed for infants and toddlers from birth to 3 years of age. Early steps acts as a single point of entry for children 0 to 3, and JPHSA takes over that as the child transitions out of early steps services. So around 2.5 years of age is when ideally we want to see our family service coordinators with early steps refer to Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority. Now, Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority is one of 10 local governing entities or human service districts and authorities that's across the state of Louisiana. And if you want to learn more about your human service district and authority in your area, if you do not live in Jefferson Parish, you can visit the Louisiana Department of Health, or LDH, Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities, or OCDD, website, and they'll provide more information about the human service district or authority in your area. So you see the picture ahead of you, it says it's an apple and an orange. So ideally we want to see family support coordinators with early steps. Refer families that they believe will continue to need services, developmental disability related services, to the local school system and to Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority. Sometimes there's a misconception that they are one and the same. They are not. The local school system is designed to provide your educational related services, while JPHSA is to provide developmental disabilities related services. And we'll get into what a developmental disability is a little later. A little bit more about Child Find, which is connected to the Louisiana Department of Special Education, or the Louisiana Department of Education. So Child Find is a nationwide effort. So this is a national effort to locate and evaluate children that have disabilities from birth to 21. They want to make sure that they're receiving the services and educational accommodations they need to have success in school. And it is a part of the special education system in Louisiana. So Child Find is also another avenue that you can use to be referred to JPHSA for developmental disability community services. So how to reach out to us? You can contact us by calling our main line. It's 504-838-5424. Or you can email us directly at ddcsservices@jphsa.org. If your child will meet with a representative, and they'll give you an appointment so that we can initiate eligibility determination. So what is a developmental disability? So a developmental disability is a physical impairment or an intellectual impairment or a combination of the two. It should occur before age 22 because that's in the developmental framework of development. It should impact you in your day-to-day life in areas like self-care, being able to dress or bathe or brush your teeth. Receptive and expressive language, meaning your ability to communicate your wants and to understand what other people are trying to communicate to you. Capacity for independent living or self-direction. That has to do with your ability to do some day-to-day activities for your self-care and the care of your environments, like maybe cleaning your room or preparing your clothes for the next day. Those can be examples. And there are other areas of life, but those are just a few that I wanted to review with you. So developmental disability, again, is an intellectual or physical impairment or a combination of both. It occurs before age 22, and in most cases, it has to result in 3 or more substantial functional limitations. So we already discussed a little bit about what are major life activities. Major life activities has to do with how you care for yourself. We call that self-care. Again, that has to do with bathing and dressing or brushing your teeth or grooming. Receptive and expressive language, about communication. Learning, remember that a developmental disability can involve an intellectual impairment, and we would need a psychological evaluation that will test or assess a person's IQ. And that's how we determine if learning is impacted. Mobility, self-direction, capacity for independent living, economic self-sufficiency, our ability to earn income, and major bodily functions is like toileting. Can you toilet independently? Do you need assistance in toileting? Is there anything physically or otherwise that's impeding your ability to maintain your bodily functions? Do you need to wear briefs because you have no control because of a medical condition? Those are all things that can be fall under major bodily functions. So let's review a little bit about the documentation that we use when you initiate eligibility with us so that we can determine if you are eligible for developmental disability services and you meet that Louisiana criteria for developmental disabilities. We use evaluations from the school system. When Early Steps refers you to the school system, you should meet with their support team and they should assess what your needs are. Part of that assessment will determine what's your exceptionality according to the school system. We can use those documents in their eval to determine if you are eligible for developmental disability services. So oftentimes we'll ask you if you received an evaluation from the school system or an individualized education plan or program or IEP. We'll ask you for those documents because we can use those documents to determine eligibility. We can also use any evaluation from a private psychologist. It should be a psychologist that does the evaluation or other qualified health professionals. If they're going to make a diagnosis, they have to be qualified in order to make that diagnosis. So a comprehensive psychological evaluation from a psychologist may include an intellectual assessment, including an adaptive assessment. And if they are screening for conditions such as autism, it will also include the screening or assessment tool they use to determine if your child or loved one has autism spectrum disorder. So all of those things from a private source we could use as documentation to support eligibility. If your child or loved one has a medical condition such as Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, we can use a medical documentation from a medical professional to show that that child has an exceptionality that we accept as a developmental disability. So what happens after someone is determined eligible for developmental disability services? At this point, you will be issued a statement of approval if we determine you're eligible for developmental disability services. And what we're going to do is we're going to refer you to one of the JPHSA, Developmental Disabilities Community Services, private personal support coordinators. And you will likely be referred to that coordinator within 6 to 8 weeks. Our goal is to be closer to the 6 than the 8 weeks, but that's all really dependent on how many people have gone through entry, the complexity of the situations with each individual, and you know, how many support coordinators we have that's actively working with families. And that support coordinator is going to reach out to you and they're going to do what we call a comprehensive plan of support and a needs assessment. And those are all geared to determine what services that we have at JPHSA in the community and even within the Developmental Disability Community Services division that's going to best meet your needs. And it really, I don't want to even get prescriptive about what that would look like. It's really going to be based on the individual and family's needs. So again, I want to go back over how to apply for the contact numbers for applying for developmental disability services. So if you believe your loved one may have a developmental disability, whether it's a child or an adult, please reach out to us. We'll work with you to get the documentation we need. We have a psychologist on staff. If there's no documentation and we need to do an evaluation, we can do an evaluation. So never let uncertainty hold you back from applying for services. If you feel like your loved one has a developmental disability services and you think you will benefit from the services that we provide, please give us a call at 504-838-5424 to learn more about Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority and its services. You can go to our website at www.jphsa.org. Again, thank you for your time and attention in listening to us regarding the services available at JPHSA. and how to apply for developmental disability services. This training was given to you in conjunction with Families Helping Families of Greater New Orleans and Jefferson Parish Human Service Authority. So I thank you for your time and attention.